Hello.
Welcome back to another episode.
Yes, thanks for joining us another week. It is actually episode 20 of season 3
How exciting. I can't believe we've done 20 episodes.
of this season.
Yes. How many in total, I wonder? I don't know.
It's
Like 60?
well over 50,
Yeah, 'cause
pretty close to 60.
Didn't we do 43
Yes.
or something before at least?
Yeah, and I remember when we hit 52, which is like equivalent to one a week of a year.
Wow. It's pretty
I'm
cool.
not really sure, but yeah, how exciting.
Yeah, it's just because I was actually like clearing off my hard drive on my computer and putting onto an external hard drive some of our like content, and I was getting like, you know, episode like 8 I took off and episode 9, and it was like the how to survive the silly season. I was like, wow, like that feels like so long ago that we recorded that, but it was only like a couple months, but like still.
I know. Wild. Yeah, episode 8 of season 3.
I know, because we didn't episode 8 of season 3, but we didn't take a break over Christmas either, so it's just been like, I mean, I'm pretty proud of us.
I'm very proud of us.
It's not nothing, you know.
No, when it's like self-produced, independent podcast.
Everything is done
Everything
by
counts.
us. I feel like you just always wish you could do more, but you just, you know, you can't do everything all at once.
No, that's exactly right. And if you've been along with us for the journey, thank you.
Yes.
Your support means absolutely everything to us. And if you're new here, welcome, because
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Real life chats here.
Yeah.
And today we wanted to talk about I was actually talking to my mum the other day about, you know, just life and being overwhelmed of everything, and she said something super profound to me, and I just was talking to Danny about it, and it was, you know, she said you just need to pick a path and then follow that and the opportunities will come, because sometimes we have so many choices in life and so many things to do and so many ways we could go, and we want to do all these things, but you don't know which way is the right way. That's the thing. Like, you have no idea which is the path to take. And so I thought that was such a good piece of advice, because it's not so much about knowing the right path, it's about just picking one and trusting that, you know, they might all lead to the same place, you know, because it's opportunities that come up, but you just have to start somewhere and pick one path and not try and do a million different ways, because then you get nowhere.
Yeah, it's like the notion that, like, if you try and do everything, like, you're not doing everything well, if that makes sense. Whereas you can pick one thing and do that exceptionally well. So there's no harm in doing multiple things at once, but it's just accepting that all those things can't have your 100%.
Yeah, it's like if you're standing at a crossroads and there's 6 different paths you could walk down, and you're like, I'm gonna go this way, and then you walk 50 meters down that path and you go, it doesn't seem like this is working out, so you walk 50 meters back and then go down the next path, and then you do the same thing. You don't get anywhere, because a lot of the time, like, it takes longer than you think it will to get somewhere. And it's also like, I heard this thing years ago, and I'm just starting to listen to it, even though I've always known, because even though I know that you can't do everything all at once, I still try.
Yes.
And so I'm really, like, it's hard to, you know, because I always think I'm the exception, like, I can do it all. No, I can't. We only have, you know, like, so many hours in the day, and we only have so much energy to give each day. So it was this analogy of, like, if you want to build a house, I think I probably even said this on the podcast before, and you want to build a house, and you are, you know, putting up brick by brick every day, but, like, if you put all your bricks on one house, you'll have one house, and then you can live in it, and then you can build the next house. But if you try and build 6 houses all at once, it's going to take you a lot longer to even have one finished house.
Yeah.
And effort compounds, and I feel like sometimes, you know, it might be better to prioritize and peel back everything you're trying to do and focus and know that, like, things like build off each other, and then they might help and, like, work together, and then you can get to your place, like, your destination faster than if you were just trying to do everything all at once at the same time.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same thing, like, you know, even if you build one house that's brick by brick, your house isn't built in a day.
No.
You know what I mean? So it is still a journey. It still takes time. So, you know, you might lay, I don't know how many, I can't speak today. What is with me? But you may lay so many bricks, right? But it's still only one wall.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just got to, you know, understand that it's a journey. And I think like down that, pick a path, and you might pick a path and walk 50 meters, and 25 meters of that might be uphill.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's part of it. And it's like, I remember doing Duke of Ed when I was in high school, and we walk up this hill and we just look ahead of us, and it was like another hill. Like when we got to the top of this hill, we realized we had to walk down and then back up another hill, because it wasn't the destination after that hill, right? Like sometimes that's just how life is. And in that situation, I could see that, you know what I mean? Because I was literally walking that path. But when you can't see that, it can be hard, because you kind of feel like, you know, if you're in that victim mindset, that you've been blindsided.
Yeah.
Whereas when you can appreciate the difficulties and really lean in on the fact that you're learning, or, you know, find some gratitude in that journey. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Like, as hard as it may be, like, what can you take from that is a positive? You know, like your endurance in a struggle is a lot better, or you've learnt this, or, you know, you figured out that you don't actually like that. It doesn't matter what it is, but if you can take a positive out of it, then the hill's not so hard to climb.
Yeah, and I guess it's just mindset is everything with that.
It is.
You know, that whole thing is your mindset, you know, and your mind can either be the make or the break of you, because I totally believe that the difference between like a business succeeding or a business failing, or something that you're doing like succeeding or failing, is your mindset, and whether you choose to give up or whether you choose to figure out how, or learn from it and know that that's leading to the next thing. And I guess the thing is, though, like, it is not easy. Like, everyone talks about this mindset, like, you just have to have a growth mindset. Even I was like that. You just have to have a growth mindset, and you just have to, you know, be positive and know it's gonna succeed, and lucky girl syndrome. And that is not easy. It's very easy to think that it's easy, and I think on social media a lot of people, including myself, have just talked about, like, just do it, just be like, just have the mindset, just like I'm embodying it. But that is not, it is so hard. It is so much harder than people give credit for, or that people like we don't appreciate how hard it is to have the right mindset before the thing works out.
Yes. And an interesting post I actually saw this morning from Michelle B, which you
love Michelle B.
Yeah, who you actually put me onto, is that, and you just like notioned it when you said the lucky girl syndrome. But she did this post where she's like, lucky girl syndrome is more present in girls that are building their emotional regulation skills. So there is a big part of being able to regulate your emotions behind through like your life, realistically, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, being able to manage those negative thoughts and not being caught up in it, and, you know, being able to maintain that growth mindset is a lot easier when you can kind of like understand like that it is hard. Yes, I think, because it's not easy.
And the more experiences you go through, like, I think that's the thing. Like, while I think, you know, you can train your mind to believe anything, I do think you have to sometimes learn things, and you can choose to believe whatever you want, but the more experiences you go through and you go, this is really sucky, and then it comes out and you're like, actually that worked out for the better, that reinforces it. And sometimes, like, I fall victim to this. I want to already have the thing, or have the mindset, or have, you know, nailed it or mastered it, but that's not how learning works. You can't just expect yourself to do a 180 and change your whole belief system in one day or anything. It takes so long, and it constantly evolves, and emotional regulation is so important. And I feel like I'm really working on that at the moment. That's one of the things that I'm working on the most on my own personal journey right now, is because this is the first time in my life where there's uncertainty. It's the first time where it's not like, okay, you finish school and then you go to uni and then you get a job, and then I decided to not follow that path. And even if I was going to get a job, like, I don't know what job I would get and where I would, you know, so even if, like, everything is now up to choice, and it's the first time in my life where there's no one there promising it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a constant battle to be like, it's going to be okay, and like to deal with the uncertainty. Like I'm finding that quite challenging, and I'm trying to, you know, step up to the challenge. But it's something that I need to work on, because I'm finding that at the moment I'm having extreme highs and then extreme lows and then extreme highs and then extreme lows, and it's affecting my nervous system. Like it's affecting my physical body, not only my mind, and I know that that's not healthy. And so I'm actively trying to work on that, and I think I'm, you know, learning every day. But it's so, like, it's underrated and under talked about how important that emotional regulation is, because I think if you can't learn to regulate your emotions through the ups and downs, you can't keep doing it. It's not sustainable.
Yeah. And I think a really interesting point which you touched on was that, like, you just want the end result. Do you know what I mean? But I think what a big part of that is that the end result isn't what it is without the journey. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, there is no end result, is there?
Yeah,
I don't know.
You
like,
got to go on the journey to find the end result. Like,
and like I've always said stuff like, once I get this, I'll be happy, or like once I just, you know, and I'm challenging that, because I'm saying that to myself now. I'm saying, like, once I achieve this, I can relax. But I know logically that is not how life works, and I have to choose to relax and to be mindful and present and to have the good mindset that I want now, because there's never a challenge in life. Like, you're constantly learning and growing, and nothing is ever the same. Like, even if you don't make changes, life changes around you and you have to adapt. So if I keep waiting for this moment of, oh, once I get that, like, once I get this much money, then I'll be able to relax, I know in myself that that's not true. So that's why I've decided to really prioritize trying to work on that.
Yeah.
And I watched a really interesting YouTube video, and it was about, like, the divine feminine and, like, stuff, and how to, like, embody that, because I've been, like, kind of, like, interested in learning a bit about, like, feminine and masculine energy. And that's not like, feminine energy isn't about being feminine. It's more like, from what I know, like, trusting the process, and it's like creative, and it's like being flowy and allowing yourself time to rest and trusting in the process and knowing that everything's going to be okay and letting it be easy, and yeah, it's sort of about surrendering, still working hard, but surrendering. And then the masculine energy is a bit more about like, you know, diligent working and structure and leading. And I believe that men and women have both of these energies. Like, we should all have different balances of all of them, and, you know, it's not like a right or wrong or anything. But I feel like I really want to lean into that, like, feminine energy and, like, trust even when there's no proof. And so that's what's sort of making me a bit more interested in this, because I think, like, at some point you have to choose to believe before, you know, it happens. It's like, or before, you know, because that's like the magic key in getting there. And I think you can't keep going with all the setbacks that life throws at you, no matter what you're doing, if you don't believe first that it is possible, or that it is going to happen, or you're going to figure it out. And I found myself having a lot of moments of, like, I used to fall victim to getting into the, like, this seems so impossible and big and hard, and I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then I would just exist in that, and that's where I would stay. And I've had a lot of feeling my emotions and feeling overwhelmed and repeating to myself, my emotions and my thoughts aren't reality. They're not truth. Sometimes you think things that aren't true. You know, that doesn't, like, if I'm overwhelmed and I think this is impossible, that's not a true thought unless I choose for it to be true. So taking a step back and being like, okay, sometimes our thoughts aren't whatever above all else, you know, they're just thoughts, and you can choose to be like, okay, actually, no, you're a bit overwhelmed at the moment, and then choosing to be in that moment and think, okay, I could be really paralyzed by this, but that's not going to solve the issue that I have. I still have that issue, and you know, being like, okay, I'm going to choose to just, how can I figure this out? What's the next step I can take? And pulling back, and it's not easy and it's hard. And sometimes I don't win that battle, and I just need to read a book and go to sleep and know that the next day is going to be better. But sometimes I do win the battle. And every time that you challenge your thought processes and the stuff that you've conditioned your thought processes to be your whole life, and when you challenge those to think a different way, it strengthens it every time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think might be a bit of a stretch, but it's kind of like when the one door closes, rather than just staring at the door that's closed in your face, it's getting up the courage and the determination to maybe even just like look slightly left. You know what I mean? Or completely turn around. It could be a complete 180 flip, or it could be like a slight, oh look, like in my peripheral I can kind of see an open door. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's having the courage and the drive to be like, it's not it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You know, and it's being able to recognize that, like, what is the saying? Like, it's not a no, it's a redirection, or something like that.
You're right. I don't think that's a stretch at all. Like, my boyfriend's mom always says to me that, like, because I'm the kind of person that I pick a path and I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And she's like, that's great. Like, but she says, like, don't have your blinders on. You know, don't look so straight ahead that you don't see the opportunity in your peripheral vision. And I think that's such good advice, because, you know, like what you said, like, that door will close and you think, damn, like, I chose this path and it's not working out for me and life keeps closing these doors. Whereas actually it's like, no, like, tap you on the shoulder, like, this is actually better.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. It could be like, you know, you're walking down like the path, right? And if you've got your blinkers up, is what people would say, like, and you can't see peripheral, like, you're walking down and you're like, man, it's getting dark down here. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Beauty and the Beast, and it's like, man, it's getting real dark and a bit shady. And like, but if you were open, you might have seen that little bit of light and been like, oh, like, that looks like a good path, and it's still the one path. You know what I mean? Like, that's what people miss. It doesn't, like, exactly what you said at the beginning, the path's not straight.
No.
And it never has been, it never will be. And I think the hardest thing is, though, when we compare, is that when we look at other people's paths, they look straight. Mm-hmm. And that's an absolute lie.
Yeah, it is.
It's misleading.
Yeah, it is.
And that's the reminder that in whatever you are going after in life, is recognizing that, you know, when you make it, when other people look at your journey, they're going to think it's a straight line, and it wasn't. And you just have to remind yourself that it was a journey. It was a windy road with lots of hills and lots of dips. Because you know what? Walking down is just as hard as walking up, if not harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you think when you walk down a really steep hill, like, my legs are shaking. Just saying. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard just walking up as well. But like, it's never flat with roses and lavender and sunshine and butterflies. It's never that.
No.
Maybe for parts of it.
But that stuff is important to build character so that you can handle where you're meant to go, you know?
Exactly.
You need to learn the lessons before you get there. And it's really hard because, like, I love this whole, you know, be open and know that the right things are happening for you, and, you know, the turn that you're being forced to take that you maybe thought wasn't right is going to be better in the end. And that, the thing is that, like, as we said at the beginning, like, it's uncertain. Yeah. And we don't know, and it is hard to have this mindset constantly because we like to control things. Mm-hmm. You know, we want to have control. We want to know where we're going and know that it's all going to be okay. But, you know, we don't know anything. It's all about just choosing what you're going to believe. And then if you choose, everything's going to be okay because I'm going to figure it out. Yeah. Then you take the turn and you make the best of it. And then at the end of the journey, you might look back and think, wow, like, that was obviously the clear path that I should take. But at the moment, you didn't think that, you know, like, you can forget the windiness and the hard highs and lows, like, once you get to the end, because you're already like, oh, this is great.
100%.
But it is hard to appreciate in the moment, and I think that's why we have to just try to learn that, because I think so many people give up early because it is scary, or it's unknown. Scary.
When you think about it, like, if you're walking on a path and you've just walked down a massive hill, and in front of you is another massive hill, so it doesn't matter where you turn, you've got to go uphill, and it's dark and it's cold and whatever, like, what are you going to do? Like, sit there and look at the closed door?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
because you have to walk back up the hill you just came down.
Exactly. And you know what people don't realize is even when, like, even if you choose not to face that hill, you still make another move.
Yeah.
You know, you still take another step forward. You know what I mean? And it might not be like, maybe you end up flattening out that hill because, you know, you take another direction, or you take it a bit easier on yourself or whatever, you know, and you look at the learnings or whatever. Like, but I think that's a really important factor, is that appreciating that, like, each day's a new day.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been reading Emma Isaacs, that's her name, right?
Yeah,
Business
The New
Trips.
Hustle.
Yes, The New Hustle. I've been reading that and I found it very helpful. It's been actually such a great book. But I just read a part and it was about, like, I forget the words she used, but the sentiment of it was, like, what are you willing to do? You know? And she talked about how, and I had no idea, but she moved to America to expand her business, right? With her family of 4 kids and her husband. And, you know, she bought the house and she filled it with all the things, and she, you know, she didn't expect things not to take off. She thought they would take off quickly, you know, very ambitious. And you're like, you know, like, it's going to work out. She did all the stuff. She blazed a trail ahead. And then she was like, and then we burned through all our money and we had no money. And she was like, what are we going to do? Like, we have not enough money for the house we've bought. And so she said that she rented out her house. So at the beginning she put on Airbnb, and every weekend if somebody would rent it out, they would take all their belongings and their 4 kids and then rent out a 2-bedroom place and share beds and stuff on the weekends to make some extra cash to get by. And they ended up renting it out full time and moving into a small rental. And she said, you know, like, we could have flown back to Australia with our tails between our legs and, you know, just admitted defeat. But they had a mindset of, well, we chose this. How are we going to figure it out? Because so many people in that situation would be like, I thought this was going to work out. I was so sure and it hasn't, you know, rather than thinking, okay, there's an extra obstacle, you know, you just go, I was so crazy for thinking this could work. What's wrong with me? And she didn't take that. And then she was like, you know, I would do that 1,000,000 times again. It was hard with 4 kids under the age of whatever, you know, and trying to start businesses and constantly moving. And she's like, but it was worth the sacrifice for the short amount of time to now live the life that we live, because it set us up. And by short time, she was doing that for a year. And it's like, how much, like, radical action, I think that's what she's called it, like, are you willing to take to get there? Because now she can look back and be like, that move to America was great and that's what I needed, and that hard time shaped where I needed to go, and it seemed like we were failing, but we weren't, because we learned from it. And I was like kind of gobsmacked, because I see someone like that who's, you know, doing amazing in business and has so much success, and even when she was already successful there was another challenge, and then they just made it work. And I think that's, like, man, like, I think that would be hard in that situation. And the thoughts of, oh my god, we've made a mistake, but you can't think like that. No, because that's not productive.
No. And in that year, it would have been a hard slog endurance run.
Yeah, and, like, is it the whole time, are we doing the right thing? Is this right? Is this ever gonna, you know, like, it's not like they were like, okay, after, because you don't know before hindsight, you don't know it's only gonna be a year. She's like, are we gonna do this for 4 years, 6 months? Like,
you never know.
You have no idea. It's like, whenever I get all like, oh my god, what am I doing with my life? Jackson always quotes to me Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. And there's, like, a quote in that movie, and the guy's like, you know, like, you just got to make choices and not look back, man, or something like that. Like,
I love that.
You know, like, you just got to make choices and then not look back. You just got to keep looking forward. And I think that is something that I'm trying to do, and it's not easy, which is kind of like what I want to hone in. Like, it is hard, but, like, don't give up though.
Don't give up.
Make decisions and don't look back.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, whatever the outcome of that decision is, you just make another decision.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Just, you know, everything compounds, effort compounds, decision compound. Like, decisions compound, and try to, like, you know, don't have your blinders on, pick a path, walk down that path. Lots of great little gems of wisdom, but we're right here with you, trying to figure out everything, you know, nobody has it figured out. Nobody.
No. Even if they make it look like they do, they don't.
Yeah, and if it's holding you back thinking that everyone else has it figured out and you don't, there's just people pretending.
100%.
Or accepting the fact and going with it anyway.
And on that notion, a really great book that we recommend. One is the Emma Isaacs, The New Hustle. But another one is Everything is Figure-Outable by...
I haven't read that.
I would 100% recommend that book. That is a great book. And it's by Marie Forleo. I think that's how you say her name. Amazing. I saw her speak live through Business Chicks. And yeah, her book, Everything is Figure-Outable, is just, I mean, just that whole title is, that's what the book is. And it's a great reminder. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to read that.
I won't spoil it.
Also going to read Power by Kemi Neck for Pill. I really want to read that because I'm really trying to step into my, like, again, the divine feminine, like having my power. So that also is the next
good book.
When I finish Emma Isaac's book, I'm going to read that next.
Yeah. What am I reading at the moment? Jay Shetty.
Oh, love that book.
Think Like a Monk. Very, very good also.
Very
and then
good.
The next book I'm going to read is Emma Isaacs, The New Hustle. So yeah, look, lots of great books to read. Lots of love, lots of inspiration. Don't get caught up on everything on Instagram.
Yes, and just do your best, and we will chat with you next week.
Yes, thanks for joining us. Share this with a friend. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful week.
Yes, get it done.
We'll chat to you then.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening in.
There's absolutely no pressure to do this, but if you're happy to share the podcast with your friends or on your socials and tag us at Pierced Off Pod, that would be amazing.
You can also leave us a stellar 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on if you're feeling extra motivated today. It really does help us out so much, but ultimately, we are just beyond grateful that you're here.
You're also more than welcome to come and hang out with us on our other socials. All of our links are in the description.